In this video, we'll talk about a recent U.S. Supreme Court decision affecting the employment rights of military service members. And as a bonus, we'll also talk about what service members can do when they suspect their rights have been violated. I'm attorney Steve Matcha. I represent employees, and I've had the privilege of working on several cases in which military reservists working for state employers have been denied their rights under the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, otherwise known as USERRA. I'll add links if you'd like to learn more about USERRA. So what's been going on? State employers have been claiming they can't be sued for violating USERRA, and that's where Torres versus Texas Department of Public Safety comes in. So what happened in that case? Leroy Torres enlisted in the Army Reserves. He was called to active duty and deployed to Iraq. There, Leroy was exposed to toxic burn pits in which trash is set on fire. Torres was honorably discharged and returned home with constrictive bronchitis, leaving him unable to perform his old job as a state trooper. Torres asked his employer, the Texas Department of Public Safety, to honor his reemployment rights under USERRA and accommodate his condition by reemploying him in a different role. Texas refused, claiming it didn't have to follow USERRA. Now, the 51-page opinion involves concepts like sovereign immunity and structural waiver, but to make a long story short, the court ultimately found states can be held liable for violating USERRA. To make a long story long, states have been claiming they have sovereign immunity from being sued under USERRA. So what's sovereign immunity? It more or less means the government is above the law and cannot be sued except under limited circumstances. One of those circumstances is something called structural waiver, which means the structure of the original Constitution itself reflects a waiver of state sovereign immunity. So how is this all applied in this case? Well, the constitutional war powers centralized national defense in the federal government. And when the states signed off on the Constitution and united as states, they waived their immunity from the war powers and resulting laws, including USERRA. So, what can service members do when they believe their rights under USERRA have been violated? One option is going to the Department of Labor. Like many government agencies, their resources are limited, and the Department of Labor may not pick up a case that a private attorney would, and it may issue an adverse finding, which doesn't look great for the case, and may discourage private attorneys from taking a case they would otherwise take. That's why it can be a good idea, in my opinion, to first seek guidance from an attorney knowledgeable in USERRA. You have any legal questions, especially regarding your employment, feel free to reach out to me.